Bharatiya Janata Party supporters burnt effigies of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh and shouted slogans as protests erupted on Sunday after the party named candidates for next month's elections, leaving many disappointed, NDTV reported. Party offices were ransacked in various parts of the state and protesters gathered in several areas with placards. Security has been stepped up around the BJP headquarters in Imphal, the news channel reported. A number of leaders, including many who had joined the party recently ahead of elections from other outfits, have resigned, reports said. Moving on to the next news, Supreme Court Judge Justice D.Y. Chandrachud has again highlighted the need for public viewership of court proceedings. Justice Chandrachud said judges are to be judged not only by the number of judgments delivered and the case disposal rate, but also by their conduct within the walls of the courtroom. Unless judicial proceedings are open for public viewership, it would not be possible for the public to understand the nature of work undertaken by the courts, Justice Chandrachud said at a virtual book release event. If judicial proceedings are open to the public, Justice Chandrachud said it will not only give legitimacy to the judicial institution, but also further the democratic principle of accountability. Moving on to the next news, senior Congress leader P Chidambaram on Sunday said an alliance could not be forged between his party and the NCP Shiv Sena for the Goa Assembly polls despite best efforts, but asserted that they will remain friends and after the elections, the Congress would continue to explore opportunities to work together with them. Mr. Chidambaram, who is the Congress's senior election observer for the Goa polls, also hit out at the Trinamool Congress for its barbs at the Congress for not forging an alliance with it, saying the party continued to poach Congress leaders despite making an offer of a tie-up. The senior Congress leader said he received no instructions from the party leadership to hold talks with the Trinamool and added that I am sure our leadership had taken into account all the facts and circumstances. Moving on to the next news, Punjab Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi will contest from Bhador constituency, the Congress announced today as it released its third list of 8 candidates for Punjab Assembly elections. The party had earlier announced that Mr. Channi's candidature from Chamkaur Sahib seat, which means Mr. Channi will be contesting polls from 2 seats. Mr. Channi, the first-time Chief Minister, took over the top job in Punjab in September after the Congress sacked Amrinder Singh, who was involved in a bitter and protracted tussle with State Party Chief Navjot Sidhu. Moving on to the next news, NATO has no plans to deploy combat troops to non-NATO member Ukraine in the event of a Russian invasion, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said on Sunday. Asked on BBC television whether he would rule out putting NATO troops in Ukraine if Russia does invade, Stoltenberg said, "We have no plans to deploy NATO combat troops to Ukraine. We are focusing on providing support. There is a difference between being a NATO member and being a strong and highly valued partner as Ukraine. There is no doubt about that," he further added.